Welcome to Militant Geek Preparedness. Let's talk about solar. In a previous video, we talked about battery storage, power storage, ways to be able to transfer that power from, say, a 12-volt battery into 120 volts AC household current. We covered that in the video prior to this. Today, what we're going to cover is how to charge those battery banks back up via solar. So let me break this down so that we can go over each of these one at a time, and that way I can bring you a close-up view, tell you the pros, the cons, and anything I can to help you make the right decisions on making your emergency power preparedness purchases. Okay, first off, we're going to talk about my favorite panel that I own anyway, and that's going to be my Renogy 100 watt rigid, or otherwise known as glass panels. This is what I highly recommend for individuals, especially for emergency preparedness. These are a long-lasting panel. They don't take that much of a footprint up, so they're relatively easy to store. And you see the box that's in front of you there. There's two of those that fit in that box. And those boxes are pretty easy to store away and get out whenever you need it. We're going to talk about folding panels in a minute. And you're going to see that really the benefits really do not outweigh the cost whatsoever. We're going to get into that. If I were to recommend you to buy any type of a solar panel for emergency preparedness, it would 100% be a rigid glass panel. This is just the same kind of panel like you would mount on the rooftop of your home or out on a rack out in your yard somewhere. It's that exact same panel. Most of these panels have a warranty of usually around 20 to 30 years, and that's a long time. When you talk about the folding portable panels, well, then you're talking a totally different story there. And let's not get our cart before our horse. Let's talk about these rigid panels first. They're dependable. They're reliable. Will it stop a softball-sized piece of hail? Probably not. But again, this is for emergency preparedness. There's a lot of people out there that want to try to pick a side. It's either got to be solar or it's got to be some type of generator combustion engine, whether it be natural gas, propane, or regular gasoline, or even diesel. A lot of people, they want to pick one or the other. They want to pick a side, and that's the only way to do it. Don't do it any other way. And that is not the right mindset for this. For preparedness, I highly recommend both. I recommend both solar and some other type of, a generator, combustion engine that uses propane or natural gas or gasoline or diesel fuel. I really recommend propane, and especially if you're somebody that's rural, or even if you live in town and you've got one of those 250 or 500 gallon propane tanks in your yard. That's a lot of fuel. That is a fair amount of fuel that'll get you by for a decent amount of time. So if you happen to have one of those big propane tanks in your yard already, definitely go with a propane generator, but don't forget about the solar, because you know what? It doesn't matter how much fuel you store back, you're going to run out. When we are talking about a major SHTF, it's not going to be as simple as going and getting more fuel. That's just not going to be an option. So that is why I push solar very hard for preparedness. I've talked to people about this for a long time. I know a lot of people that try to jump on one side of the fence or the other, and they plant their feet firm, and it's, no, I'm going with this because of clouds and rain, and that's why I gotta have my gasoline generator because of cloudy days and rainy days, and what if the hailstorm comes, and how good's your solar gonna be when the hailstones take out your solar panels? And they will go on and on and on and on about why you shouldn't buy solar, but how dare you bring up anything like, what are you gonna do when you run out of fuel? They usually get a little bit upset by that. So don't fall into either camp. Be prepared either way. We're going to cover solar. I don't have a combustion gas combustion generator of any kind. I wished I did, but I just don't happen to have one yet. It's on the list. If I can ever get to there, it's on the list. But these are the Renogy panels. I bring them out 2, sometimes 3 times a year. I run them through a tab, make sure that everything's working and functioning properly. I make sure that they're, in good condition, that they're clean and all that. And I put them back away, and they don't see the light of day again until the following summer, where I bring them out and I do the same thing. Run them through their test and make sure that everything's going fine. So it's a basic, simple solar panel. There's nothing really spectacular about this particular model. I'm not sure if China's got any secret devices in there. I'll tell you what, though, I can find out with you on camera. Shall we? I think we shall. Okay, so if you've been paying any attention to, especially preparedness channels, because they love to fearmonger on everything, you've certainly heard about the Chinese devices. They're like ET and phoning home when you're just trying to recharge your battery, So that they're saying that there's something in the solar panels that's going to transmit valuable data back to China. And like I said, when I did actually talk about it on a news level, I said that it was a bunch of bunk, that they've been doing this. They've been doing this with DJI and drones for years. They've been doing the same thing. And it's all predatory business is basically what it's doing. It's trying to scare people from buying a product from another country when we don't even have a product here that can replace it yet. It's crazy. But there you go. I just opened up the connection housing for the Renogy panel, and I can assure you that these 2 things are diodes, which you have to have. By the way, if there's an EMP, your diodes will be destroyed. So if you get some spare diodes and you keep them in an EMP safe container, whatever you deem that to be, because nobody can tell you for sure exactly what it's going to take, exactly how much an effect an EMP will have or anything like that. Don't let anybody try to BS you into they know how it's going to work out, because guess what? They don't know how it's going to work out. So anyway, these are diodes, and yes, if there is an EMP, they are a type of semiconductor, and they will fail. So those will have to be replaced before using this panel. So that's only if you have like an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse, or a CME, which is a coronal mass ejection from the sun. Either way makes for a bad day, but it's important to understand that there's a lot of fear-mongering going on with this. I just showed you that there is nothing in there of any kind of concern, just the connections and some diodes. Nothing that's going to phone home to China and say, hey, this guy's a prepper, and he bought 4 of those Renogy panels, and he's got them hooked up to an EcoFlow Delta 1300, and we're going to send the coordinates so that you can send the paratroopers right over top of them. That's not what's going on, folks, and don't let anybody fearmonger you into thinking it is. So let's move on to our next type of panel, shall we? Alright, let's talk about portable solar panels. Now, this one here happens to be my favorite portable solar panel. I wished I had the 100 watt version of it as well. Unfortunately, I only have the 60 watt version. But I can tell you from owning this for several years, this is hands down my favorite portable folding solar panel. However, that comes with an asterisk that we're going to get involved in a moment here. So I can let it lay flat. Let me go ahead and show you what I've got in the back before I show you what's in the front. Keep all comments to yourself on that. Alright, this here is a battery charger. And it will charge anything from, say your 18650s to your rechargeable AA's and AAA's and your CR123s. I think some of those are rechargeable, aren't they? Maybe not. maybe these won't do a 123. I'm not positive on the 123s. It'll recharge any of the rechargeable batteries I have, that's for sure. And I know that there's larger batteries. Was it 27700, something like that? 18650 is the largest battery that I use. Not that there's not a use for the larger ones, there clearly is. But most of my stuff I build around the 18650 battery platform. I've discussed that before. I've got, you know it, my Ziploc bags. I love my Ziploc bags. This panel here, and I wanted to show you this before I tore all into it. This panel here has cables with MC4 connectors. So, in case you didn't know, that is considered an MC4 connector. Okay? And this particular panel has the cables built right in. So you can hook this up to a system just like you would, say, one of those larger solar panels like I just got done showing you. You can hook this one up the same way as that. And that makes it super, super handy. I am going to rewrap that because I don't want things to get all twisted. That would not be good. So we'll spend a little time making sure that our wrap is not going to cause us problems here, and stick that back in there. I'll set this charger. Oh, well, I'm not going to put these back in yet. Let me close this up. Now you saw the MC4 connectors, and you'll see got a couple of MC4 connectors there. On this end, you have the typical old barrel style jack, okay? And that is for this right here. And what's the brand on this? Instapark or I don't know. You pronounce it however you want to. But this is a little bitty 5 amp battery charger. 12 volt 5 amp battery charger. And let me tell you what. I couldn't tell you how many cars that I've put this on for, say, 30 minutes or so, just to get their battery up enough so they could start the car. And it just works so wonderful. I've even had to use this to charge the battery on a Harley Davidson for the first start of the year. And once again, it works flawlessly. 30 minutes or so of charge time. The Harley fired right up. And, well, you know, as far as the Harley fires up, you know how that is. I'm not a fan. Sorry, just not a fan. If I'm going to spend that kind of money on something, I want something that I can rely on. Nah, we won't get into that argument. But anyway, this simply plugs into here. This plugs into your solar panel. And obviously, these put on your battery. So that's just my little bitty solar panel that I've got there. Or battery charger, sorry. And then inside of here, I got a spare set of the alligator clips. And I've got just various types of connections. Male and female accessory plugs. And then, I don't remember how long it is, but it's an extension cord to be able to use with all this stuff. You know, and then I've got the various little adapters, should I need them for anything. Those, I believe, came with the kit, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. Don't kill me if I'm wrong on that. The other plug in there is actually a proprietary plug to one of my power boxes, so it's not important. Let me get this stuff back in the bag here. At least, mostly. I leave this out so it's easy to grab. Plus, I could use that for other things. And I didn't show you something inside of there that I probably need to show you real quick. Zip my Ziploc up. One of these days, I'll win the lottery, and I'll buy a nice little bag specifically for this stuff. But, until then, Ziploc saves the day. So, inside of here, I wanted to show you this before we open it up. Not only do you have those cables with the MC4 connectors that I've still got twisted somehow. But you also have ports right here. And one of them's an orange port. I think the rest of them are normal. So that's going to be like, the orange port's going to be like your fast charge port. And those are going to be 2 regular ports. And then there's a green indicator light there, letting you know that you have power. So let me go ahead and open this up. Again, I cannot brag enough on the Rockpals panels. And they hold up. So far this one has held up. I haven't seen any issues with this panel yet. And if I were to bring this over now, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a red light on there telling you that the panel is getting power. So, and that's it. There's just 4 little panels that all unfold. It's all quick and easy. I love this. I couldn't recommend this enough. There is a problem that all solar panels have. It doesn't matter the brand. It doesn't matter what you paid for it. It is the enemy of all solar panels, and that's something called delamination. It will happen to your glass rigid panels over a period of time. It will happen to your portable panels over a period of time. But that is what we're about to dive into a little bit more, okay? Because delamination, again, it's the cancer of solar panels. And some panels are much more likely to have delamination happen faster. And we're going to get into that a little bit. And that's why I kind of shy away from portable folding solar panels. At least those with the plastic panels. So I could bring you up close, but there's no need to. I have not spotted any points of delamination yet on this Rockpals panel. Now, this thing is stored and taken well care of, and so it doesn't get abused, it doesn't get left outside or anything like that. It is very much so taken care of. All of my equipment is. And so far, so good. Haven't had any delamination on this particular panel as of yet. So let me go ahead and pack this back in here, and I will get to the next panel. Okay, next up is an EcoFlow version of a 60-watt panel, and I guess, hashtag, I don't know, not really impressed with this one, I'll be honest with you. Let me go ahead and open it up. I'm not very impressed with any portable power panel, so just to be really honest. However, the Rockpals is the best that I've seen yet. So, and as you see, I always take very good care of my equipment. I mean, that's just me. I'm kind of OCD on that because I've had to buy things more than once, and it gets really, really old buying things more than once. And what makes it worse is when it's your own carelessness or stupidity, ignorance, whatever, that causes you to have to go out and buy. I need to wipe this one down, it would appear. I guess I didn't wipe it down the last time I had it out. I see dust. So that's how this panel sets up. Just like that. Is it handy? I guess so. Is it convenient? I guess so. Would I use it for anything more than just camping at the campground? No. No. The performance of this panel isn't nearly as good as the Rockpals panel, to be quite honest with you. This panel costs a lot more than the Rockpals panel, but it's just not as good as far as performance. Of course, you don't have near the options with it. The only thing this panel gives you is your MC4 connectors, so you better hope that you've got something, you know, that you can plug those into. It would have been really nice if they would have had a little junction box or something to where they could have put a USB plug, but they didn't. There's a lot of things that EcoFlow does that makes absolutely no sense to me, and it doesn't seem like they're really going after a true market. What it seems like is they're going after all the fancy bells and whistles and all that they can get the idiot influencers to promote on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and other places. But that doesn't make it a good product. And when it comes to solar panels, especially portable plastic solar panels, does anybody make a really good product? I don't know. I still like rock piles, but it's going to have the same issue that every other panel has. Now, this panel has rarely even been outside of its case. It hasn't been in the sun very much. It hasn't been used very much. So this panel here, I don't know of any. I'll walk around and I'll look, but I don't think that there's any delamination yet on this particular one. No. Again, it's mostly unused. So I do like, it is kind of cute how they've got it set up. It's kind of cute how they've got the case to where it double as a stand for it. They have larger versions of this, like the 100 watt and stuff, that didn't work out as well as stands nearly as well. So, it happens. I mean, it's a good idea on paper, I guess, right? Looked real cool on paper. It's just when they actually tried it, things got a little wonky. But, again, for camping, something like that, oh, this is the bee's knees. I mean, this is great. But for emergency preparedness, nah, not so much. And we will get to the delamination, and I'll show you some examples of it that I have personally, and show you what I'm talking about. But I kind of wanted to run through from best to least best. Does that, can you even say that? From best to least best? So anyway, EcoFlow 60 watt folding portable panel. And next up, we're going to talk about another folding portable panel that I've showed to you and talked to you about before. All Powers. This happens to be the very first solar panel that I bought after Jen and I had gotten together, and I had to completely restart my preparedness journey. This was the first panel. So this is an All Powers. It's a 28 watt panel, and I've been called out on that, and I prove it because I've been called out on that. There are people that claim that they don't have a 28 watt panel, but I'll bring that up for you to read right there. As you can see, they most definitely did make a 28 watt panel. So now that we got that out of the way, because believe me, if I don't get that out of the way, somebody will be calling me out saying that there's no such thing as a 28 watt All Powers folding portable panel. Yes, there was. And yeah, they quit making this one a long time ago. So this is it. This one has 8 little panels total. And like the other one, it's got a little power block here with a little red light telling you it's got power. It's also got a barrel connector output. That's going to be 12 volts out. And then it's got a USB output to be able to charge a USB device. Now, this panel, I'm going to bring you up close and personal because I can actually show you the delamination that's happened to this. Now, we've had this panel for a long time, but just like any of the rest of my equipment, it's well taken care of. It's stored properly. It doesn't get beat up, doesn't get abused, and it pretty much only comes out for testing. That's pretty much to make sure everything's working, and that's really about it. So let me get you up close on this delamination that I've been talking about. Okay, I'm going to do my best to show you this, but I'm going to point out some spots that you should be able to see a little difference in the coloration on the panel. There's one there, there's another there. Let me do it on the other side so I'm not blocking the sun. There's one there, there's another one there. If you come up here, there's one there, some under it, right there, 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 there. Sorry, I'm out of focus on that one. There, we should be good. So, and there are several of those spots on this particular panel. Let's put you back up on the tripod and let's talk about that. As I was saying, delamination is the cancer of solar panels. And all solar panels will do it, even the glass rigid ones. However, the glass rigid panels are usually rated for 20 to 30 years, and normally the lamination on those will last for that period of time. They normally don't have that much of an issue with delamination. What it is there are layers of different materials that are put together and encased in an epoxy, essentially. And that is how they make a glass rigid panel. Well, they do pretty much the same thing when it comes to the plastic portable panels. There's several layers there, and they just essentially glue those layers together, epoxy those layers together. However, one of the things that kills an epoxy the quickest is ultraviolet rays. So the sun's rays themselves do a lot of harm to solar panels. I know, kind of ironic, right? But it's just the way it is. And some epoxies are better than other epoxies when it comes to UV resistance. When it comes to the portable folding solar panels, the plastic ones, I don't know yet that they've actually achieved a good, reliable process and or materials to be able to prevent the delamination from happening so quickly. So Jen and I have been together for 11 years. I would say I would put this panel at probably 10 years old, easily. And I think 2016 is when I bought this panel. So getting there, close to 10 years. And, you know, that's all it has done. The panel still functions fine. It still produces pretty much the same amount of output as what it did prior. But I want to point something out that's very important. And that's, by the way, I did have connectors in here I didn't show you, but there's connectors to be able to connect to, you know, multiple different types of devices and what have you. So, why am I harping so much on delamination if it's taken roughly 10 years to get some spots on these particular panels here? Well, this isn't out being used daily. In fact, this doesn't get out and get used. It gets out and gets tested a little bit, and that's the extent of it. But it doesn't really get like taken out and really, you know, ran through a big drill or anything like that. I just check, make sure everything's working properly, and I go from there. So again, my little all powers, this is the one that goes in my bug out bag. So I keep this particular panel in my bug out bag. Now I've got one type of solar panel yet to show you, and by far my least favorite out of solar panels. Let me grab it, we'll have a chat about it. These here are my least favorite of all solar panels, and I do have both panels tied to one another to kind of keep them secured when I have them stored. It didn't matter on these though. Did not matter one bit on these. So let me get these undone. Won't take me too long. It's just paracord. And I keep everything together as much as I can. Nah, I was going to try to get away with that. Okay, now that we've got them undone here, pull that from in between the two. And these need cleaned. I don't pay much attention to these because they're crap. Bought these panels not real long after I bought the All Powers 28 watt. These were advertised as 60-watt panels, although everybody else that was selling them, the identical panel, was advertising them as 50-watt panels. So I'll let you make the call on that. However, these are notorious for delamination. They do it quick, and when they start, it's off to the races. This particular panel here, notice there's no connector here, and the reason why there's no cover there, and I've still got the cover, is because this panel had started to fail, and it's like either this spot, I think it's this spot here, that if I plug in a multimeter to it and show you, it will show no output until I push like on this spot or whatever, and then whatever's not making a connection in there makes a connection and the solar panel works. So this, you know, again, iffy at best. I can actually probably fix that just by running a rivet through it to hold it tighter to remake that connection. But, you know, is it really worth the time and effort? I don't know. Maybe someday, but I just don't rely on these. I don't even remember that I own these because they're junk. This was a brand called Elfland or something like that. But, you know, a lot of these things are just rebranded. So you've got a company in China that produces the heck out of them, and you've got what I call rebranders that purchase the items up in bulk, slap their label on them, and then sell it to you on Amazon or eBay or wherever. So I do not recommend these what they call semi-flexible panels. For one, they're not very semi-flexible. You'll damage them pretty easily, and they'll delaminate really super quick, and they're just unreliable. I've seen a lot of people that went through the trouble of mounting these on RVs and stuff like that, and not even a year later, their panels, or at least a good part of their panels, no longer work. So it's kind of the nature of the beast. This is why I'm making this video, to show folks, hey, this is a proven technology, or this isn't a proven technology. Semi-flexible panels, not a proven technology. Portable plastic folding panels, they're getting better. They're getting better. We'll see if they've got it figured out yet as far as the quick delamination that happens on the plastic panels. Rigid, solid glass panels, I couldn't recommend them enough, and that's what I would tell anybody to get for preparedness. The portable folding stuff, that's great for glamping. It really is, and I know it's impressive when you pull it out for the friends. It's like, oh, wow. But, you know, when we're talking about preparedness, that's survival. It's far less about impressing people and far more about what you need to survive. Shalom.